There has been a lot of discussion over Rescue Rangers 2022 using Peter Pan as a villain and how it has rightfully made people uncomfortable and how it mirrors the real life tragedy of Peter's original voice actor, Bobby Driscoll. However, another show in 2011 introduced their take on a villainous Peter Pan, that being the fairy tale soap opera Once Upon a Time. In this version of Peter Pan, shows how you can make a great villain out of this character, and he might just be my favorite villain from any piece of media. Soap opera is the apt word here. At the end of the show's run, everyone is related. Version of Pan, as he is the father of another villain.
What are you trying to say?
But there is a way that I can stay here. A way that I can get the pixie dust to work here so I can fly again. Just like I was when I was a boy.
How?
By letting go of the thing that is holding me back. You.
Help! A monster!
It's not a monster, Rumple. It's a friend. It's part of the island. And after I do what he told me and let you go, it will become part of me too.
Don't let him take me!
I don't have a choice. To stay here, I have to believe that I'm young again. And with you here to remind me I can't.
No, Papa, please! Help me!
A child can't have a child, Rumple. I'm sorry, but it's true. Don't fight it. We both know that you're better off without me. I was never meant to be a father.
Once Upon a Time's take on Pan is what is known as adaptational villainy. This is when a character is made a villain. The key part is that it has to make sense. Wizard and Wicked as its secondary antagonist makes a lot of sense when you look at the original version, as he was presented as a con man that was tricking all the Ozians. Why he still does come off as well-meaning and doting, you can see that villainous nature come across when he talks to Elphaba and how he is not someone that should be trusted. It will be interesting to see how the upcoming film adaptations handle this take on the wizard, as out of the ones I've talked about, he is perhaps the most sympathetic version of an adaptational villain. Other times, such as in the case of Maleficent, it feels as though the writers are throwing a dartboard at the characters to figure out who to turn into a villain. Like, who would have ever thought of Aurora's daughter, King Stefan, as the villain in a Maleficent story? It works, but it's such an odd choice when you think about the story, because as I said, the best type of adaptational villainy is where you can look at the original traits of the character and see how they would become the villain they are presented as in a new story, and that is not something you can really look at with the original Sleeping Beauty, unlike J.M. Barrie's original text of Peter Pan. You can see how Peter could be viewed as villainous. Needs to be hammered home. The villain that you choose to make the villain when they were originally a hero has to make sense. King Stefan doesn't make sense partially because in the original Sleeping Beauty animated movie, he is such a minor character. Now, some might argue that gave the creators of the live-action Maleficent more leeway to make him their own character, but it still feels rather odd. Another factor that makes this version of Peter Pan work as a villain is Peter is known as the boy who wouldn't grow up. That is his defining trait. He refuses to grow up. And the Once Upon a Time version twist this to where we have an adult who regrets growing up. This is crucial when we first see him turn into Peter Pan as he lets go of his child. He views his son as a burden and would rather escape back to childhood instead of having the responsibilities of an adult. It's such a cruel way to look at things, but that is what makes this version of Peter so monstrous compared to the more joyful and happy versions, such as the one played by Mary Martin on screen here. It is summed up in his one line when he lets go of his son Rumple, when he says, "A child can't have a child."
A child can't have a child, Rumple. I'm sorry, but it's true. Don't fight it. We both know that you're better off without me. I was never meant.
In many ways, what Malcolm does to become Pan on Once Upon a Time to escape the responsibilities of fatherhood is in stark contrast to Spielberg's classic Hook, where Peter Banning, remembering he is Peter Pan, only serves to make him a better father. This also serves to show that the idea of Peter as a father figure can be used to uplift, such as the case with Robin Williams' Peter Pan, or show some people were never meant to be fathers, such as with Once Upon a Time's Peter Pan, played brilliantly by a young Robbie Kay once he becomes Peter and tries to forget he was ever Malcolm. Upon a Time, in his final episode of the Neverland arc, has a whole speech that lays out how much he harbors resentment towards his son and how he would have been better off had he had never been a father. In his eyes, it is so cruel and vindictive that you just hurt hearing this.
Might have been. Is that what you want? Because I do. I remember looking at you, the littlest babe, helpless and all mine. Those big, big eyes just full of tears, pulling at me, pulling away my name, my money, my time, pulling away any hope of making my life into something better for myself. This pink, naked, squirming little larva that wanted to eat my dreams alive and never stop. What are you now? A couple hundred? Can't I be free of you?
No, you will be. In death.
The line, "Why can't I be free of you?" speaks to how vindictive this version of Pan truly is. At the end of the day, Malcolm is a coward. Hatred for his son and tries to play on any love that he thinks might be there. We see this when Rumpelstiltskin kills his father, as Rumple has learned a lesson his father hasn't, and never did.
Rumple, please. You can stop this. Remove the dagger. We can start over. We can have a happy ending.
But I'm a villain. And villains don't get happy endings.
This line comes back in season 5 when our heroes travel to the underworld, and Rumple once again kills his father.
Why? Villains don't get happy endings, Papa. And I'm here to make sure you never get one.
There are many other things I could talk about, such as how long he held Wendy captive on Neverland, or the brilliant decision to make Pan also the Pied Piper. But this feels like a good ending spot. And my idea with this video was to show that the idea of making Peter Pan a villain can work. As I said at the beginning, I get why people have issues with Peter Pan and Rescue Rangers as a villain, as I do myself, and that's the reason I don't feel comfortable watching the movie. But Once Upon a Time showed years ago a villainous Peter Pan can work. Thank you all for watching and sitting through this video.